The more I think about it, this is a stupid use of this incident.
So, Gene, it's pretty remarkable to see that video. And as you said, it might backfire on the defense because in a year earlier, when you have kind of a similar instance, George Floyd lived when he dealt with those officers, and obviously he didn't when dealing with the defendants in this case. But, it's interesting when we watch it, Gene, because there was a possibility we would have seen more of that tape, right? At the very beginning, there was a talk about whether or not the jury would see the entire arrest video, and then it would become a question of George Floyd's emotional response and whether or not he was faking, being nervous with the officers, faking anxiety. It was going to become that question. Do you think it seems that right now that is not going to happen, that we are only going to see this limited portion and those other issues are not going to come into play? Is that for the best?
Absolutely. For the government, I think this video helps them tremendously. And I apologize for my wonderful guest if I get her name wrong, and I'm not going to attempt. But I think this video is going to be used in closing or rebuttal because it's go back to the Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. This is a tale of two arrests. You got that May of 2019 arrest, and this Officer Creighton, little rough, because they weren't showing the hands. I get that. He used the F-bomb. But you compare the way Officer Creighton handled George Floyd to what Derek Chauvin did, it's unbelievably, it's like 180 degrees. The more I think about it, this is a stupid use of this incident. Stupid.
Yeah,
it really is.
And Nafeez, I guess the question is, what do you think the jury's thinking at this point? Are they thinking, why did the defense bring this out? Do you think this morning the testimony related to the 2019 arrest was clear on the issue of drugs and clear on the issue of his physical health and clear as to maybe there is some reasonable doubt as to the cause of George Floyd's death? Do you think the defense has made that clear up until this point when we've seen two witnesses?
I don't think so, and I think this was a mistake by the defense. I think what they thought they were doing, that they have done successfully, is to lay a trap for the prosecution, to have the prosecution focusing on George Floyd's behavior and not Derek Chauvin's behavior. And I think he won on that because the prosecution really could have flipped these witnesses and the video to their advantage during cross-examination, which they didn't. Instead, they introduced testimony that the witnesses weren't even going to give about George Floyd's prior medical history. So on that, he won. But on making the point that he had overdosed on opium, particularly after all of the medical expert testimony, that if he had been overdosed on opiates because they're depressants and not stimulants, he would have been on the floor. This actually bolsters the prosecution's point that he couldn't have been overdosed if he was responsive. And I think that the prosecution definitely could have done a better job of bringing that point home for them.